A dramatic scene unfolded during President Trump's Pennsylvania rally after a heckler loudly accused the president of being a pedophile, briefly disrupting the event before being escorted away. The individual also raised a middle finger while being removed, creating a brief but dramatic moment in front of the crowd. Trump did not respond to the heckler, and it remains unclear whether he even heard the accusation as security moved the protester away. But the interruption instantly drew attention to a controversy that has continued to shadow the president for years. The incident unfolded during Trump's first campaign-style appearance in 2 weeks. After weeks dominated by headlines about Iran and high-stakes foreign policy, Trump returned to a familiar setting, a factory floor packed with workers and supporters. Speaking at a Mack Trucks assembly plant owned by Sweden's Volvo group, the president shifted focus back to his signature message of jobs, manufacturing, and reviving America's industrial heartland. The accusation stems from long-running scrutiny surrounding Trump's past ties to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Despite repeated efforts to move beyond the issue, questions about the relationship have continued to resurface in political and media debates. Apart from the heckler confrontation, several other moments from Trump's Pennsylvania speech have also gone viral across social media. One of the most talked about clips came near the end of the event when the U.S. president once again broke out his signature rally dance moves.
She's like this, you see. She's like this, you see. I already have a lot. You know, I have a very elegant wife, and she says, darling, please, please, don't dance. Darling, please, please, don't dance. It's not presidential. I said, but the people love it when I dance at them. And she said, please, please, the men and women sports, please don't do the weightlifting thing. And don't do the swimming thing. And the mother's screaming, darling, I love you, darling. And the father's looking, saying she has no chance. And she's like this, you see. Drops him. And she's like devastated for the rest of her life. The movement over. But he transitioned. He was a poor, very poor, bottom of the line, male weightlifter. But now he's a female weightlifter. It's not that long considering I've won 3 elections, you know, so we're done. But she's trying out for the Olympics and she's going to do it. And the record stood for 19 years and they put 1/8 of an ounce on one side, 1/8 of an ounce on the other. They have to understand, Melania, who's now a movie star, she got the #1. Can you believe she hit big with a boom? That's not good. There can only be one star in a family. Please remember that. But they put a little 1/8, like a feather on one side, a little bit, just to break the record. The parents are sitting right there where Big Bo is. He's a nasty guy, that punch he threw. Got to be very nice to Bo. I got to be very nice. Got to make sure he's never angry at me. But she said her parents are right there in the front, and they're so proud. The father's not so proud because he knows she's not going to do it. Because she's a woman. It's a lot of weight. The mother, though, is screaming, darling, I love you. Do it. And she gets over the weights, and she stands there. And then she gets him, and she gets him. And the mother's screaming, darling, I love you, darling. And the father's looking, saying she has no chance. And she's like this, you see. Drops him. And she's like devastated for the rest of her life. And then a guy comes along who transitioned. That's the term. I've gotten very good at that term. I used to take a lot of heat for my definition of the movement over. But he transitioned. He was a poor, very poor, bottom of the line, male weightlifter. But now he's a female weightlifter. And he looked at the amount. I think it was like 210 pounds or something like that. But that's a lot for a woman, but not that much for a man. You could do it with one hand. And he goes, looks down at the weight. I think he did a few things for emphasis. And he won the medal. And everyone said, oh, isn't that wonderful? Are we crazy? Men should not be able to participate in women's sports. Right? That's a 99% issue. Do you ever hear the fake news? They say, that's an 80-20 issue. No, it's not. It's 99-1. You know, I've been doing politics now for 10 years. Not that long, considering I've won 3 elections, you know, so it does. But we did great in the second one. It was a rigged deal. But pretty short. But with all of that, and all of the time I spent speaking to people, they say, sir, could you cut taxes on this? Could you get me a tax deduction on a car loan? I did that. By the way, I did that. If you borrow money to buy a car, you got to do all these things. They ask me for hundreds of things. Not once did anyone ever come up to me and say, sir, please, this is so vital. You have to be able to have men play in women's sports. Please, sir, could you pull that off? I've never had anyone ask me for that. So I say it's a 99-1 issue, not 80-20. The fake news back there, they say, oh, that's a tight issue. But I don't like talking about it because I want them to continue on with that. I want them to continue on with the, you know, they're in favor of the mutilization of your child for transgender purposes, the mutilization of your child. And I would say politically, it's a very good thing to run against a person that's in favor of that kind of stuff. So we let them, we don't bring it up during off-political seasons, but we have a political season coming up. And they'll be doing all of that nonsense, and they're going to lose a lot of elections. And now, if you look at New York, we have all communists running. They're all excited. They're going to win their primaries, but I can't imagine they can beat a normal Republican. So I think it's a good thing, Muser. What do you think? I think it's a good thing. Wouldn't you like to run against somebody like that? Well, Shapiro's not that much better, to be honest with you, but I won't say. They're all being forced. They're all being forced. A guy like Shapiro, he's going to be forced to the left. Otherwise, he's not going to get the nomination. But they voted against proof of citizenship. Think of it. We'd like to have proof of citizenship. You walk into the voting booth. Would it be okay, sir, if I looked at your citizenship? How dare you ask me for my citizenship? You know, in California, if you ask that question to a voter, you are criminally liable. In other words, they can put you in jail. If you say, sir, do you have proof of citizenship? They put you in jail if they ask that question. You're not allowed to ask that. Did you know that? It's the craziest thing I've ever seen going on. Hey, did they screw the kid, Pratt? Boy, he's leading, and all of a sudden he's lost. And it was sort of interesting. The election, you ever see an election where they're 2.5 weeks in? An election that takes weeks to count the votes? But after the evening, it looked like he was going to win or certainly be in the runoff. And then I started hearing rumors as the days went by, days and days went by, that Pratt is fading. He's fading. I said, they rigged the election. And then lo and behold, he didn't qualify, even though he was so far up in the third place person that it was almost impossible, and he didn't qualify. And then it started happening with the next candidate, Steve Hilton, who's running for governor. He was up in front, just about leading, no problem. And all of a sudden, about 4 or 5 days after, this is after the election's over, they said, Steve Hilton is starting to lose votes. I said, here we go again. And I called up the U.S. Attorney in California. They said, we're going to have a number in the next week. Next week. I called up the very powerful, very good U.S. Attorney in California, and I said, do me a favor. Take a look. They're trying to steal that election, too. I guess they called up. They said, this is the U.S. Attorney call. We have your great U.S. Attorney here today, by the way, and your assistant U.S. Attorney. They're doing great. David, thank you. But so over the next week, he was definitely going to lose, but the U.S. Attorney called. We want to check your votes. About an hour after the call, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Hilton has won. So had I not made that call, Steve Hilton would right now be watching the election from home. So I don't know, you know, he would have a great chance, but the election's totally rigged. California's totally rigged. All mail-in ballots. It's a disgrace. We got to pass the Save America Act, okay? Got to pass.